Hey folks, so this video is going to be on the topic of introversion and introvert personality and some of the misunderstandings that come from that. And I'll be using myself as a primary example, but I know that a lot of you probably can relate to what I'm about to say. The thing about introverts is that we tend to be people who just want to be left alone. More than likely, we want to be in our own solitude. We wish to be drama free as possible. We don't want to be seen in the middle of the crowd. We don't want to have the spotlight directly placed on us. We just don't like it. It makes us uncomfortable. But one of the things that I think annoys introverts, particularly me, is when my silence is taken as being malicious. I can go periods of time, long periods of time, without speaking to anybody. This includes family, it includes friends, and it's not in a hostile, I don't want to talk to you type of attitude. It simply comes from a place of just not wanting to speak. And, you'd be amazed at how often people mistake that as being you being hostile, or they take it as you having some kind of bad intent toward them, or that you don't like them, or that you're just being too standoffish, or that you think you're better than other people. And these are all accusations that are leveled against us, usually by people who are more extroverted in their nature. But it's so frustrating to have to explain, and I've just stopped explaining it to some people because if you don't understand that I don't have any malicious intent when it comes to not speaking, then that's just have to be your problem. I don't know what I can say about that, but it frustrates me that you constantly have to tell people, that you just don't want to talk. That you have to defend yourself for not wanting to speak. And I don't think people understand that. Some people prefer silence. Not everyone wants to talk 24/7. There are days where I go, sometimes even months, where I just don't spark communication with anybody. There are times where people will send me messages that I don't respond to. I might read them, but I just don't have the words to respond, And this frustrates people. And I can kind of understand it because it might seem like I'm ignoring them. But in reality, it's not that I'm ignoring them. It's just the fact that I don't have anything to say. And it's so hard to get that point across. People are always on the defensive about every single thing. I mean, my goodness. If you scratch your eyebrow wrong, somebody might think that you're insulting them. And it's just not the case. I just don't like talking all the time. And this is probably why my videos are more so sporadic nowadays. I'm not uploading super regularly because I just don't think I have anything to say until I finally have something to say. It's just so, it's hard to deal with. And a lot of times it's hard to be related to because people don't understand that type of personality. People are used to being social. They're used to having all of their messages read and then responded to immediately. They're not used to getting a response maybe 2 weeks later or or maybe a month later, depending on the person and the level of introversion that person might have. But it's a part of who I am. There are times where I just want to be left in solitude. I want to be a silent observer. I don't want to have to respond to every single thing. I don't want to have to read and respond to every single message. It drives me up the wall that people think they have the right to demand that you get back with them immediately. it just annoys me so much. Like, God damn it. Can I have time to just be by myself and not have to speak when I don't want to? And if I want to speak, if I feel like I'm at the point where I have the energy to engage in conversation, then I will. But prior to that, it should be understood that there are some times in a person's life, especially when dealing with introverts, we simply want to be left alone. We want to observe the world from the sidelines and not interact. I mean, I used to joke about wanting to become a Buddhist monk and going up into the mountains and just living at a monastery and just close myself away from the world permanently, just to be left in silence. And I meant it as a joke, but the more time passes, I think that's pretty much what I actually want to do. I want to be able to just be left alone. I want peace. I want tranquility. And there's just not enough of that in this world. Everything is a hustle and bustle. Everything is noise. Everything is constant communication, whether you like it or not. You're forced to talk. You're forced to interact. And that's what makes one of the things that make the world even more unbearable is that you have to constantly speak when you don't want to. You have to engage with other human beings when you simply do not want to. And another thing that comes with that, along with not speaking, is isolation. Now, before COVID and the lockdowns happened, my life was lived in solitude anyway. In a more solitary way, confined. I only went to work, I came home, and stayed home. And most of the time, I would stay home at every chance I got. There have been years where I would just literally, that's all I would do was stay home as much as I possibly can. Because to me, everything that I like is in my home. I have what I need here. I have my entertainment. I don't need constant stimulation from social life. I don't need, I just don't need that thrill that you get from traveling or going outside to places. I don't want that. I don't like mingling with the public. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I dread the most is going to Kroger. I hate it. I hate grocery shopping. I only do it because I have to. But if I didn't, I wouldn't do it. If I had everything that I wanted set up the way that I wanted, I'm pretty sure that I would probably never leave my house unless it was to visit family when I felt like it, or when it became absolutely necessary for me to do it. That's it. I don't like the world outside. I don't like interacting with the public. I don't like to be forced to do things that I don't like. I don't want to be around a bunch of people. I don't have to be the center of attention. I'm not that guy. I never was. I never had many friends. As a matter of fact, I only have one friend. Only one. That's it. One close friend that I can speak to and see in real life. That's it. And that's okay with me. I don't go out of my way to make new friends. Because, it's hard for me to do. People always want to travel. They always want to go places and see things and do things. And I'm just not like that. I want to stay home as much as possible. I like my space. I love my space. I love being alone in my space, where I don't have to worry about the opinions of other people, where I don't have to worry about appeasing other people. I like living like this. It's less drama. It's less stress. And why would I want to sabotage that in the name of being a social butterfly? And so, if people don't understand this, I'm to the point where, they're just out of luck. I don't mean any particular harm to anybody when I may not respond to them or when I may not feel like interacting. I just don't feel like interacting. That's it. If you take it as me being hostile toward you, then I'm sorry, but you're mistaken. And if you can't understand that, I just don't know what to do. My hands are tied. And I think this general frustration is felt with a lot of introverts, because I've had people online speak to me, and they've told me similar things. We just want to be left alone. And the world just doesn't offer us that option most of the time. A lot of us have to do things endlessly. We have to be in the public constantly. So yeah, it's just frustrating, man. I wish that it were easier for people like us. And I think that it just adds to the load, the burdensome load of being alive in this world, is that everything that you do is forced. Everything. It's bad enough when you don't want to participate as is. It's even worse when you're made to. That's like torture. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that. Trying to explain why it is that I might not communicate, or why it may seem like I'm ignoring people when I'm not. I just prefer my space. I just want to be left alone. That's all.